All right, let's talk about some of my favorite Craft CMS console commands, and I might throw in a couple that are not exactly Craft related, but close enough for working with Craft projects. So I have the TrailQuest site open up here in PHP Storm. If you're not familiar with TrailQuest, this is the project that we build in real-world Craft CMS at craftquest.io. Check that out if you have a chance. I'm just going to make the embedded terminal here a little bit bigger. The first thing you should know, if you need to find out what any of these commands are, you can just run craft, or in my case, since I'm running ddev locally, which you should be also, if you run ddev craft, you get a list of all of the commands. Perfect, but let's talk about what some of my favorite ones are. So the first thing I do when I need to update a craft project to the latest plugins and craft, I usually run ddev craft update info to find any available updates. In this case, I am completely up to date, but usually it would list out the craft version and the newest version, and then any of the plugins that have upgrades available as well. Once I do that, I then run ddev composer update to run all of the updates. Now I know that's not a craft console command, but it's so tightly tied to how I work. And it looks like I'm getting actually some kind of dependency update here. So that's interesting. Okay. And then after that's done, I run ddev craft up. Now I'm going to have another video on talking about what craft up does, but you can see right here, it checks for migrations, checks for content migrations, it checks whether you need to apply any project config changes, and then it updates any licensing info. I'm going to do a whole video on that, but that is one that I use a lot. Now, speaking of project config, have you ever had it where a project config file has a conflict because of the timestamp of the updated date, or it's not applied because of the updated date, and you just need to change the updated date? Well, what you do here, and I do this fairly frequently, if you do craft project config, if I can type, there we go, /touch, and that will update the date modified value in your project.yaml file. A little bit of a shorthand, you can do ddev craft pc touch, and that is just a alias for the same thing. That's one I also use quite frequently. Another one I use a lot is ddev craft plugin install when I want to install a plugin, or I'm just going to do ddev composer require. Let's say I want to require NY Studio 107 /craft SEO mat. There we go. SEO matic. That's going to require it. Now, if I do ddev craft plugin list, that's going to list all of the plugins that I have in my system. You can see SEO-matic is not installed or enabled. So I'm going to use another command I use a lot, ddev craft plugin install SEO-matic. There we go. And now SEO-matic is installed. So I did this ddev craft plugin list, and we compare that with ddev craft plugin list, and then pipe that to grep, and we can search for something like a handle called CK editor, and it'll find that and then output it. So I know that CK editor is there, and it is installed, and it is enabled, and we have the version number. So any of this stuff we can grep as well if we need to. Okay, one more that I use a lot, especially when I'm customizing Craft CMS, is ddev craft make. And craft make is a way to create components for craft, and you can create different types of components, an asset bundle, a controller. A lot of times we're using it for plugins and modules. So I can do craft make plugin. And of course, then we get prompted to create our plugin for this project. So we'll just call this sample plugin. And it's not a private plugin handle, location. That looks good. No description. Oh, MIT. And there we go. And we have our plugin created. So those are my most commonly used Craft command line commands. Let me know, what are some of yours? Drop a comment with this video and let us know. Take care, and you'll see you on the next video here on CraftQuest.